when we look at Genesis chapter 1, it says the Spirit was moving, right? The Spirit was moving. So, which means that alerts us that this would be a spiritual work that God was doing. Wherever the Spirit of God is, that means God is accomplishing a spiritual work. All right? And also, we know that Moses wrote under the inspiration of the Spirit. Okay? So that means Moses' mind was being inspired, right? But then the words that he wrote were his words. And he now had to, so to speak, transfer what he received in the Spirit into words which would the Hebrew people would be able to read. Okay? And it had so he had to put it in their context. Right? And I gave the example before that when Jesus spoke spiritual things to the Israelites, he had to put it in their context. So Jesus would talk about sheep and goats and shepherds and kings and kingdoms, right? Because that was what their context was. If Jesus was speaking to us today, he would use things of our context. He would talk about the smartphones and vehicles and airplanes and ships and skyscrapers, right? Automation. That's the world we live in, right? He would use our language, right? Because we already have, when we use a word, that word in it has all these meanings that are generally understood. Even though the word probably doesn't even, if you look at the literal word, right? If you look at the literal word, it probably is not even close to what we understand it as to mean, right? So if we look at a word like download, right? I'm going to download a file. Now, download. But actually, we're not dealing with anything of weight. We are dealing with a digital file. A digital file download, and it's not actually downloading into any physical space in our home. It's on the computer. Right? But the word download, if you look at it literally, it implies there is some sort of weight that is coming down from somewhere, when that's not the case, right? Similarly, when you read words in the Hebrew narrative now, you gotta understand them, how they were used by the Hebrew people. Even though you know the literal meaning of a word, it's not necessarily used literally. All right, so all of these things, I hope we can have this exciting and interesting journey through Genesis 1, and as well the Bible in general. All of these principles I'm mentioning generally are the hermeneutic for reading the Bible. Okay, so let's get into our topic, right? So we are talking about formless and void. Okay, formless and void. And so let me just establish some things which I mentioned in previous videos, but we're gonna go back to them just so that we can have a bridge to link to what I will be talking about today. So Hebrews 1 verse 10. Okay, let's look at that. Hebrews 1 verse 10, right? Because I need to they say repetition is the mother of learning, right? So I know that many of us, or a few of us, or some of us, or whatever the percentage of us, have not really grasped what I'm putting down, what I'm putting out, right? And so I need to repeat certain things. And maybe because these videos that I'm doing are over 1 hour long, maybe there are certain parts you may not have seen or skipped, right? So I need to do some repetition. Hebrews 1, verse 10. It says, "And you, Lord, laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands." Okay? So we can all agree the apostle, he's actually quoting Psalm. I can't remember which Psalm he's quoting, but he's quoting a Psalm here, right? Let me see if I can pick that up. Psalm 102. Okay, he's quoting from Psalm 102. But anyway, so he's quoting Psalm 102, and it's speaking about the heavens and the earth. Okay, you laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands. Okay, God worked the heavens, laid the foundation of the earth, and the word earth here is actually it's the Greek word ge, right? Which also means, and most likely means, land. Okay, because the Bible is another thing that I need to help us to understand. The Bible is Israel-centric. Okay? So when it's talking about the earth, it's talking about Israel's earth. So therefore we need to understand it as Israel's land. Okay? When it's talking about the earth, it's not talking about whether if you believe the earth is a disc or a globe or whatever, it's not talking about that. It's talking about Israel's earth, Israel's land. Okay? Or whatever nation, their land. Okay? Generally, the region. Okay? That's what that word is. And you'll see that also if I put the lexicon up. You see it says there, it's the Greek word ge. In the Hebrew, it's eretz, but they both have similar meaning. Arable land. So notice it's land, the ground, the earth as a standing place. So it's a place. The mainland as opposed to sea or water. Then it says the earth as a whole, but there's very little, I believe, evidence in the scripture that this word is actually used as the earth as a whole, because the Bible was never concerned about the earth as a whole, like every single nation on the earth, right? It was always concerned with Israel, or the covenant people of God, and the nations that are mentioned are those which have some sort of connection to the covenant people or to Israel. Okay, the other nations who are far away on the other side were not mentioned because they had no connection, no communication. They had nothing to do with the covenant people of God or Israel. The only reason you would find like for example Mesopotamia or Ur of the Chaldees mentioned is because Abraham came from that region. Okay, the only reason why you would have all of the Hittites and the Girgashites and all of these ites mentioned is because they were the enemies of Israel or of God, and they were the people who were in the land that Israel was being inserted to, right? These are the only reason why these nations are mentioned, because of Israel or because of God's covenant people, whether it's because of Noah, whether it's because of Joseph, whether it's because of Jacob. That's why these nations get mentioned, right? So the earth as a whole is I don't think that there's such a use of the word gay. Then the earth as opposed to the heavens, okay, meaning the land as opposed to the sky, right? Because when you have the earth and the heavens being used in juxtaposition, it usually is speaking of the land and the skies, okay? And the inhabited earth, again, the inhabited earth primarily starts with Israel and the surrounding nations in which Israel may have been dispersed. That would be the inhabited earth. Okay? The Bible was not concerned, Bible was not concerned about nations who had nothing to do with God's people, right? The abode of men and animals, a country, land enclosed with fixed boundaries, etc. So you notice the majority of applications of this word has to do with a land, okay?